Hey, good morning and welcome to the Unash and Dukes podcast. Grab your coffee, your orange juice, your favorite bet, whatever you got. Mark's got his coffee ready to go. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I'll let you take all the coffee beans today. With that, uh, I drink too much. I have too much of the caffeinated soda in me, so I'll get that rolling here in a little bit. Enough about us. It is the Unash Dukes podcast. Welcome in. We are presented by Eagles Hideaway, First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Lindale Mall and next to the Home Depot. Open Monday through Saturday at 4 o'clock. And stop on by. A great, classic local American restaurant and with a fully stocked bar. They also have catering as well. So we're coming up on spring and summer. A lot of activities going on. And if you need catering, give Jamie a call and Chris and everybody over there at Emel's Hideaway. Thanks to them. Also, big thanks to Dr. John Wolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids. Hunt Graphic Innovations. They run our CRMLivesports.com website. Also to Bim Ritter Sportswear in downtown Cedar Rapids. Online at bimritter.com. And Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance. Kurt located on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Johnson Avenue High V. And happy Saturday morning to you.
Thank you. This is kind of nice. We typically record about mid-afternoon on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but we figured with all the games, all the activities going on Friday, it just didn't make any sense to do it then. When Iowa and UNI were, playing late afternoon, early evening, and figured sleep on it and talk about it today.
See how things come out in the morning. We
Yeah.
have the luxury of doing that now, and we're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
What a first couple of days. First of all, how's the bracket?
Oh, it's pretty good. I only missed one game yesterday, and that was Villanova getting beat, but I think only missed five in the first round. And I think from what I've seen, people are having pretty good luck with the brackets because there's been the high points and St. Louis's and VCU ahead. But there's been a smattering of games where people probably didn't pick a particular team, but by and large, it's a lot of favorites that have won.
Yeah, first time ever, I have my Sweet 16 intact after round one. So I'm feeling good about that. I did lose eight because I took some flyers in the first round, but you can do that. It's like Major League Baseball. You just can't start out 5-20
Exactly.
and expect to win the thing. Um, Now it gets down to brass tacks. Some great second round matchups coming up. I mean, just phenomenal second round matchups. And for the most part, first 2 days of the tournament have gone pretty chalk. I mean, yeah, there have been a couple. There was a 12 winning, there was an 11 winning, but it wasn't chaos like a lot of people would like to see. And that includes, I think, we knew what Iowa State was going to do. We'll get to that coming up in a little bit. Iowa was 50-50. All four of the nines beat all four of the eights for the first time in I think 8 years that happened. So if you took any of the eights, like I took three of them, you were in bad shape right there. But it's only 1 point. You're not going to lose sleep over it. But great performances. We'll get to Owe in his second round matchup with Iowa State in a little bit. Not to mention his half court shot, which was probably the best 3-pointer look Kentucky can have without thinking about it. He banks it in, goes to overtime. Santa Clara was calling timeout the whole time, never got it. I don't know if we got time to get to refereeing or not. They're just throwing the ball out and letting him play, which I guess is good. I don't know. At any rate, if you missed it last night, one of the best performances. In fact, if you watch Furman and UConn, it was the late game. Reed had the best performance in 6 decades in an NCAA tournament game with ended up with 30 points, 27 rebounds last night for UConn. Best performance since a guy named Elvin Hayes in 1968 in the NCAA tournament. So the Big E back in 68 when there were only 23 teams in the NCAA tournament. It was a heck of a performance last night.
Yeah, it was, and I don't know how many people stayed up for that, but there was well, it seemed like a lot of the favorites that won. Duke had to do everything. If Cam Boozer would have been called for a travel at the end, Siena would have beaten number one Duke.
Mark, there's no traveling anymore in
I
basketball.
know, but by and large, I we all love the stories of the high points that and these student announcers that called the game. It's gone viral. I woke up this morning and one of the news programs had the two kids on, and they're delightful kids. But as a journalist, you never want to become part of the story, and they were very much part of the story because of their exuberance and the nature of that upset win over Wisconsin, and that's just great. It's part of the fabric of March Madness, but there wasn't a great deal of madness, so to speak. Maybe there will be this weekend.
Yeah, never thought you'd see Riley Mulvey guarding Cam Boozer, but there you had it.
You never saw him. You never thought he'd be playing 40 minutes either.
No. But here, there he was, starting center for Siena
Yeah.
in the NCAA tournament, um, doing what he does. Poor Fran got ran over, like everybody kind of thought by Illinois. One other thing about the first round is that these matchups, and you wonder why there are potential upsets and whatnot. I'll use Illinois as an example. And they won by 35, whatever the case may be, because they shot the heck out of the ball. And I think Illinois is really talented. But if you got a 7 and an 8 inch height advantage over guys, why are you shooting threes, Mark? You're just, if you miss them, you're just bringing the upset in. Am I wrong about this?
No, not really. And unless you're very successful at doing that, a lot of the European big guys are can do that. I mean, look at a guy like Fulgaris. He's probably more effective on the outside than he is on the inside for Iowa. But your points well taken, and I think you're going to find that when Iowa faces a very, very tall Florida team coming up on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we'll start with the Hawkeyes. 67-61 win on Friday evening over Clemson down in Tampa. A game I don't believe that Iowa even fell behind, or if they did, it was very, very early on that one. I have to go back and take a look at it. It wasn't a game that's going to be sent to Springfield anytime soon. Let's just put it that way. Both teams did not shoot the ball very well, and Iowa won despite the fact it shot 38% from the field. Bennett Sturts did not shoot the ball particularly well, but the Hawkeyes got saved by Cale Combs and Fulgaris coming off the bench in that game. Maniau had 10 rebounds, didn't score, but he did a great job inside again. Um, hey, you survive and advance is the name of the game. And that's what Iowa did Friday night.
Yeah, it was the type of game that we expected, right? Game in the 60s. Both teams playing very good defense, kind of challenged offensively. But Combs had an excellent game, and that's what Iowa needs occasionally when Sturts is, he still had a decent game, but not a great game. And a guy like Tate Sage came in at a
Yeah.
critical juncture in the game and got some key points. He didn't play a lot of minutes, but when he was in the game, he made, Clemson had cut it down to one possession a couple, three times in the second half. And one of those junctures, it was Tate Sage. Another juncture, it was Cooper Koch. He didn't have a great offensive game, but he got to the free throw line and made some free throws. So my point is that Iowa got contributions from different players, and uh, they're definitely going to need that against Florida. But it's kind of what they needed all season, I think.
It was, and I'm glad you mentioned Sage because he was really good coming off the bench. And it just seemed like when Iowa needed a shot to go in, they had a shot go
Yeah,
in that game last night. And it was typical, it was a typical game plan going in the NCAA tournament. Try to shut down the other team's good player. And Clemson was not going to let Sturts get a clean look
yeah,
all night. And 4 for 17, he was in that game. Still got 16 points, and it still contributed. Iowa hit some free throws down the stretch to help win the game, but um, that's the NCAA tournament. I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit with Tennessee State and Iowa State, but uh, the other team's going to concentrate on knocking down your guy, your main guy, and then somebody's got to step up and be a hero off the bench or one of the other starters to try to help you out into the next round.
yeah. I'm sure that's at the top of Florida's list going into Sunday's game against Iowa that shut down Bennett Sturts, much like Clemson did a nice job on him. And I was forced to do some different things. But listen, I think Iowa has performed better than my expectations this year. I didn't know that it would get to 10-10 in the league. I wasn't sure it was going to be an NCAA tournament team, but I think Ben McCollum's got almost every ounce out of this team. I expect it to end tomorrow against Florida. Gators are about a 10.5, 11-point favorite. Surprised it isn't a bit more, but that's a little respect to Iowa. I just think it's been a really solid season for the Hawkeyes, and if I'm wrong about tomorrow, I'm wrong. That would be a phenomenal victory for the Iowa Hawkeyes. But if it doesn't happen, I think it's been an excellent season, and going from here on out, what McCollum does in the transfer portal and the NIL availability is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, Florida goes 6'10", 6'11", 7'8". I did not make that up.
He doesn't
Seven
play very much.
eight. No, he's a project,
Yeah,
but he's 7'8". Uh, Florida's got three bigs besides the 7'8" kid. This is a horrific matchup for Iowa. Iowa has to make 15 3-pointers in this game and shoot 60% to win this thing
yeah.
um, against the defending national champions. And I agree with you. First thing I thought about last night after the Iowa win was that, yeah, this team cannot squeeze anything more out of this season. This is a successful first year for Ben McCullum, maybe even more than a successful first year. Getting to the second round. If Iowa somehow beats Florida, I mean, they'll advance to their first Sweet 16 since 1999. Everybody remembers the year 1999 now with Dr. Tom in that particular team. But it's going to take a Herculean effort
Yeah.
to do so. And the SEC probably in the first 2 days of the tournament has showed that they are the best conference. I thought anyway. I thought they played overall the other than Georgia, who were terrible. Um, I thought they looked the best of the power conferences.
Yeah, when Texas A&M, the number 10 team in the league, wins a first round game and kind of convincingly, that's the strength of the SEC. I think you know, you could argue the Big Ten and the Big 12, at the top is stronger, uh, but not by much. I think the depth of the SEC is showing in this tournament, at least at this early stage. But you know what? Going forward, I think, well, tomorrow, I think you're going to see more of Europe. Um, who didn't play against Clemson? You got to put him in there. He's the biggest guy you got. But if that's not going to make a difference, but it will give him a pretty good experience going to next year. But Your point about the SEC is well taken. They've been done very well.
Yeah, so far, so good for them. That's Iowa. And by the way, it is a 6:10 tip-off tomorrow night. Yes, Sunday night for Iowa, Florida. So that will be a Sunday night primetime game. If you're curious, Iowa State will be the second game on CBS. They will be a 1:45 tip-off time, approximately, with that tip-off time in St. Louis, as Iowa State will take on Big Blue Nation and the Kentucky Wildcats. And the biggest story right now in Central Iowa and throughout maybe the NCAA tournament, Mark, is the status of Joshua Jefferson for Iowa State as he went down very early. Listen, Tennessee State, cute story. Very happy to be there. Did not match up well. We're not going to beat Iowa State. They tried to do the same thing Clemson did. They tried to take out Momcilovic, and Milan, to his credit, became a distributor in the game. And what happens? You got to have guys that step up. Nate Heisey, 22 points, a career high at Iowa State. He came through, and Iowa State needed it after Josh Jefferson was injured. Had X-rays. In case you haven't heard, the X-rays are negative. He is in a boot. He was on crutches, and he is saying he's going to try it, and I don't see any reason in the world why Josh Jefferson's not going to be out there tomorrow afternoon against Kentucky. He's going to try it.
Well, I think it's still questionable. And if you ever had an ankle injury, and most of us have, it's often worse than a break. And I think it was precautionary that he was placed in a boot after, he turned that ankle. But I don't know. I think Iowa State can still compete with Kentucky, not a great Kentucky team. Um, Certainly would be great to have your second team All-American on the floor, but you know, maybe you try to go without him for a little while, see how it's going, see if you can beat Kentucky without him. That's risky. Uh, I just don't know how his ankle is going to be, and I don't think they will know until uh, tomorrow morning. If you've ever turned your ankle, the next day is the worst.
Yeah.
Today's probably the worst part, but they've got the best. College teams have the best in medical training staffs, and I think they're going to do everything they can to get him ready. Um, but I just don't know how effective he's going to be or whether he'll even see the floor. Having said that, I think Iowa State still stands a great shot at beating Kentucky.
Yeah, I agree. It's not a great Kentucky team. And to be honest with you, Mark Pope came within a half court shot of being probably a headline today. Um, Big Blue Nation is not happy with, even though Mark Pope is an alum of Kentucky and a loved figure, you got to win down there in Lexington.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure if they would have lost that game to Santa Clara, Kentucky would be looking for a new coach today. Still might be if they lose to Iowa State. But you got to remember, this is Kentucky. This is these are, no pun intended, thoroughbreds of the college basketball world. And it's also a lengthy, tall Kentucky team. They got Owe, who was terrific yesterday, 35 points. One of the best games that somebody has had other than Terrace Reed and Elvin Hayes in a long time. Larry Bird was the last guy to do what Owe did yesterday. Uh, Kentucky's not a great 3-point shooting team. They're streaky. You don't want to play them the day they can hit threes. They're athletes. And Iowa State now with Jefferson, don't know his status. Lipsey is not 100%. He's dealing with a groin injury. Um, yeah, Iowa State definitely can win this game. It's not a slam dunk anymore that they're going to win this game. with the bigs that Kentucky has. And then if you get by that, and if Virginia wins, you got maybe the best big that nobody's heard of in the country for Virginia, and Iowa State's without a big in there. So yeah, this throws a whole monkey wrench into the plans for Cyclone Nation when they filled out their brackets and had Iowa State going to Indianapolis.
Yeah, yesterday was real and deceiving at the same time. It was real when Jefferson went down in the first 3 minutes, and it was kind of deceiving because of the quality of the opponent. Nate Heisey's not going to score 22 against Kentucky. If he does, great for Iowa State. Um, Torrey had a terrific game. I think what Iowa State needs is that balance tomorrow, whether Jefferson's on the floor or not. I think Plata has been playing better. The big guy coming off the bench for Iowa State. Buchanan is a very solid player. Momcilovic, we've said it, or you've said it more than once. He's kind of the X factor when he's on. He's on, but he also showed the ability to distribute yesterday and get others involved. So I think it's going to be fascinating the next 24 hours. First of all, the health of Jefferson. Second of all, how this game transpires.
Plata and Buchanan are going to be the keys
Yeah,
in the next couple games for Iowa State, and that's even with Jefferson, um, because it's going to be tougher to shoot over 6'7", 6'8" rangy guys from three than it is what Tennessee State brought.
yeah.
Um, that's just that's just the way of life in the NCAA. Um, Good first game, obviously bad result as far as the injury was concerned. But you know what? Iowa State's got a bunch of people down in St. Louis. It's going to be a very interesting dichotomy down there between the Cyclone Red and Big Blue Nation, who had a ton of people down there. This is going to be a fun game down at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis tomorrow.
I
Um,
think so too. And it'd just be a shame if Jefferson is not able to go. He's probably not going to be 100% even if he does go.
no,
But, you know, this is what you can't count on in the NCAA tournament um, for Iowa State and filling out these. That you can't predict an injury like Jefferson had or to any other team. So it is what it is, and we'll find out tomorrow.
yep. I'm going to say he's going to play. That's what I'm going out on a limb.
Okay.
I don't think wild horses are going to keep Jefferson off the court. If he's hobbling or whatnot, I think he's going to go out there.
Do a Willis Reed.
He may
Type.
do a Willis Reed. Unash and Duke's podcast coming your way, presented by Emo's Hideaway and First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. And one more to talk about. Oh, poor UNI. And Ben Jacobson opened his news conference after the game last night with one statement, and that was St. John's is not a 5 seed. America knew it. Everybody that follows basketball knew St. John's wasn't a 5 seed, except for the 12 people in the committee that put this thing together. And St. John showed why. They never gave UNI a chance in that game. It was 13-0 before you blinked. And to their credit, Ben Jacobson and UNI held out. And they basically played close even up for the next 20 minutes. And then it got away from them at the end. But this is a St. John's team that's a 3 or a 4. And it was unfortunate that UNI had to go up against them in the first round. But hey, that's the way of the NCAA tournament. And Panther season, a successful one, comes to a close.
Sometimes it's just it's a successful season. What did they win? 23 games, something like
Yep.
that. Uh, and you make the NCAA tournament. Unlikely winning the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. That's successful, and it would have been gravy had you and I pulled off one of those great upsets like they did against Kansas with Ali Fruitmanesh, but it wasn't going to happen. It was over from the start. St. John's is not a 5 seed, should be about a 3. I had them winning a couple games. I got Kansas the next round, and Kansas didn't play all that great in the first round. It's a really screwy Kansas team. I expect St. John's to move on and face Duke, which could be a really good game.
I'm St. John's beating Kansas also. And I don't even, and you're right. There is no team in America that is more of a head scratcher than the Kansas Jayhawks. I
Yeah.
mean, the world was introduced to Cal Baptist University last night. Got within 6 in the last minute and a half.
Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, in San Diego. Now, it was all basically a Cal Baptist group. It's a very small school. I did some research on it in Riverside, California. The WAC champions. They're kind of a, I don't know. They're building out there.
Well, they're not building the wrestling program; they just axed out.
Well,
So,
yeah, they did. They
yeah.
did. What a great wrestling program, though. Hey, if they got to go big time D1 basketball, something's going to suffer. No football at Cal Baptist, by the way. Um, yeah, yeah, UNI, great job by their seniors, and they will be missed. And that includes Campbell, um, kid out of Cedar Falls. So I think Ben's got that thing on the uptick again, which is good. And with that being said, Mark, um, I think it was a good first week, first four, and then the first day. Everybody kind of fell in love with the mid majors again, who did very well. Didn't do quite as well yesterday. I mean, Miami had a bad matchup with Tennessee, and Tennessee is really good and big, and Miami didn't have bigs, so that was going to be a problem. But you know, coaches are coming out and saying we got to start scheduling these guys. Are they going to do it next year, Mark? That's the question, or is this just a little bit of rhetoric from the NCAA tournament?
Of course they're not. I mean, for every VCU, you had a Prairie View A&M. For every High Point, you had name a mid major. There was 4 or 5 mid majors that pulled off a victory, but you're not going to see them. The major conference teams schedule any more mid majors. Should they? Yeah, but I think in these days, and there's stories out there already that in these days of NIL and transfer portal, it's hurting the mid majors more than anybody. And the chances of mid major upsets in the NCAA tournament may be fewer and far between going forward. I mean, we don't have a great sample size, but I, just it's a breeding. The mid majors are breeding ground, and I guess have been for uh, major college programs. I think even more so with NIL. So maybe it leads to your point about having a separate tournament. I don't know.
I think the NIT is going to become a mid-major tournament soon.
Yeah,
It already basically is.
wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, but they want to play with the big boys. Remember when I asked Mike DeCourcy that question?
Sure.
He shot me down very quickly.
Yeah.
About do the mid majors want their own tournament? No. Okay. Well, and hey, David wants to beat Goliath. That's what it all comes down to. But I don't think we're going to see a George Mason run ever again.
No, I don't think. It'd be great if High Point continues on. VCU is a really good team.
They are.
I don't know, but can Utah State continue? Can St. Louis is not going to advance more than past this next round, so uh, it's going to be the Dukes and Arizonas and Floridas and Iowa States and on once we get into the second weekend.
Somebody put on social media this is basically an audition for these guys to get a contract for next year.
Absolutely.
And the coaches. I mean, Martelli Jr. is not going to be at VCU next year, Mark. I'd put money on that. Phil Martelli Jr., the son of course, Phil Martelli, who was at Michigan as an assistant, was at St. Joe's. And yeah, he's not going to be at Virginia Commonwealth, if not next year, very long, as good a coach as he is. He's going to be in a power conference somewhere soon.
He and several others.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they will. Hey, before we go, we'll talk more with Ironside this week. Finals coming up. Iowa string continues. Thanks to Mike Caliendo, as Iowa for the 35th straight year will have at least one finalist. Um, Iowa right now in fourth. Looks like they're going to end up with fifth because you told me Ferrari is going to medically forfeit today. So that's going to cost Iowa some points. And Ohio State's probably going to leapfrog them. But this has been a great tournament for Iowa, no matter what happens today. If you said a month ago Iowa would have 7 All-Americans, I think people would have probably laughed at your face.
Yeah, and pretty close to 9, 8 or 9, really, with Peterson and Bailey coming ever so close. But I had three top stories from the last couple 3 days. Number one was Jefferson getting hurt for Iowa State. Number two was the High Point victory and the student announcers going viral. And the third was Gabe Arnold,
Yeah.
a 27th seed who wasn't on the team last summer. And we played golf at Mark Ironside, and he told us at that time that Arnold had ballooned over 200 pounds. The things weren't quite right, but somehow he got back on the team. He wrestled at three different weights this year, separated by 25 pounds, and he's an All-American. I mean, what better story out there than that? It kind of typifies what Iowa did this particular tournament. And while it didn't have the top end power like a Penn State, Oklahoma State, pretty good depth. And maybe load management in wrestling is a thing. I don't know, but because Iowa's had a very, very good tournament.
They have, but people will say they're going to end up fifth. Iowa State has had a tough tournament. Bastida's in the finals, so Iowa State's got a finalist. That's good.
Yep.
Elam got upset. That was bad
Got hurt.
and
Yep.
hurt. And yeah, it could have been better for Iowa State. They're going to end up seventh, eighth, right in there. UNI, we knew what they were facing coming into Cleveland, but we get Caliendo Mess Break 3 coming up on Saturday night. I don't think anybody in the world is expecting Mikey Caliendo to win this thing, except probably people in the Iowa wrestling room right now.
Yeah. And like you said, we're going to talk to Mark Ironside more midweek after this tournament. But Caliendo's been a great wrestler. Drake Ayala's been a great wrestler. Patrick Kennedy's been a great wrestler. And some of those great wrestlers don't win a national championship. This tournament, I mean, there's four number two seeds that are not even going to be All Americans. Not for Iowa, across the board. Four number two seeds, not even going to be an All American. That's how difficult this tournament is. There's 60 some teams that have scored points in this tournament. It's so difficult, and if you reach that podium as being in the top eight, that's doing something, I think.
The depth is so much better than it was back
Yeah,
when Gable started the run at Iowa. I mean, you could pretty much go chalk throughout how this would go. And now, like you said, all those number twos not even being all Americans
yeah.
is pretty incredible. So we'll get with Mark on that later on in the week. Enjoy the weather.
Plan to.
I plan to as
All right,
well
Heather,
here in a little bit.
for you.
Get out there, get a little golf in, get a little yard work in, and watch a little basketball and a little wrestling. So we'll have a good day planned today, and we'll be back on Monday and see how the second round of the tournament went.
Lots to talk about on Monday, and hope everybody has a great weekend. Get out,
Yes,
get outside.
get outside, and you betcha. Big thanks to Evil's Hideaway, our presenting sponsor. Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, as well as Hunt Graphic Innovations, Ben Ritter Sportswear, downtown Cedar Rapids, your one stop for screen printing and embroidery needs. And also thanks to Hunt Graphic Innovations and terrific job that Todd does for all of us. And I will talk to you on Monday.
Got it. Talk to him.
All right. It's been the Unash Dukes podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you on Monday.